Welcome to our animal adventure. My name is Melissa Ramirez, and I work in the Community Outreach Department at Driscoll Health Plan. We are very excited to join forces with our great friends here at the Texas State Aquarium today. So what do you say? Do you want to come along? Let's go on an adventure.
Thank you so much for having us today. We're very excited to be here with the Texas State Aquarium and having Driscoll once again being hosted here. So I know you brought us a new friend of the week. So would you introduce us?
We did. This is Chiquita. She's our prehensile-tailed porcupine. So that's a species of porcupine that you find down in South America.
Wonderful. So she's visiting all the way from Sudamerica, and she is, in Spanish, un puerco espín. So Chiquita, how old is she?
So we don't know what her birthday is, but we think she was about 4 when she arrived here, and she's been here for about 14 to 15 years. So we think she's around 18.
So I have some questions about her body. I noticed that she looks a little different from other animals we normally encounter.
Yeah, so she is a porcupine, so she's covered in these quills. And porcupines are mammals just like us. So those quills, believe it or not, are actually hair, just like the hair on your head, but they're specially modified to help protect the porcupine. So those hairs get really stiff and they're very pointy and sharp on the end, so that helps to protect her from any predators.
But do they shoot them out?
They do not shoot them out. So they are, like I mentioned, hair. We can't shoot the hair out of our heads, and neither can Chiquita. It would be very cool, but unfortunately it's just not possible. I think where that myth comes from is that we also have porcupines in North America, but it's a different species, and that sometimes dogs come home with a face full of quills, and people think there's no way my dog would have stuck its face in a porcupine, but actually probably that's exactly what happened.
So that's good information to know. So if we encounter a porcupine where they like to live, what are some tips to ensure that we keep them safe as well as keep us safe?
So with any wildlife, it's always very important to keep your distance. Of course, you can enjoy watching wildlife, but most wild animals aren't going to want to be approached. So porcupines do usually stand their ground if they feel threatened. They'll try to scare off a predator before running away themselves. So if you approach a porcupine, it might not run away, but that doesn't necessarily mean it wants you to be nearby. And then you might be at risk of getting quilled. So best to just keep your distance and enjoy them from far away.
So es importante que tengamos nuestra distancia. Very nice. So we have some other things about the porcupine. I see she's got a tail. What is the purpose of her tail?
She does. So this is a prehensile-tailed porcupine, and they're very different from the other species of porcupines in the world because of that tail of theirs. It's so important, it's even in their name. When she's done eating that piece, I can show you a little bit, but what she'll do is she'll actually wrap it around. It's almost like a fifth arm that she can use to help support her body. And they do spend almost their entire lives high up in the trees, so that's very important to help them keep nice and stable. You want to come over here, Chiquita? There you go. You can see her reaching with her hand. So that's what they're using that tail. A little hard to see, but it's wrapped around this branch right here. So she'll use that to stabilize herself, so then she can use her front hands to find a branch that's far away or to reach for some food or something like that.
Does Chiquita like to sleep during the day, or does she prefer to sleep at night?
She actually sleeps during the daytime normally, so she is awake right now, but she just wakes up to come and meet special friends, and then she goes back to sleep. They are what we call nocturnal, so that's just a very fancy way of saying that they like to be awake at nighttime.
So le gusta estar despierta durante la noche. Wonderful. I see you feeding her, but what is in their diet? What do they like to eat? I know a lot of our friends at home, they like their fruits, their vegetables, but they also like a lot of junk food. What does Chiquita prefer?
Chiquita's favorite food are nuts. So see, we have an almond right here, just like I like to snack on almonds, so does Chiquita. In the wild, they are what we call herbivores, so they only eat plant material. So they're going to be eating things like like fruits and veggies, leaves, flowers. They might chew on the bark of trees, but only plants, nothing else. So here she gets a variety of fruits and veggies, and she gets nuts because she likes them, and raisins, which are a big favorite. She likes bananas, another favorite of hers particularly. And she also gets what we call a rodent blocks. She really likes these, surprisingly. They're just like you can buy dog or cat food, you can also buy food for rodents.
Very good. So you mentioned she's a rodent, and at home we necessarily think rodents are like mice, and they're a little smaller than Chiquita is. So in the rodent family, how big is she in that scale?
She's definitely on the bigger side. So the biggest rodent in the world is actually the capybara, which is a good bit larger than Chiquita. But Chiquita is definitely pretty big. Most rodents are going to be more the size of like mice or rats.
Well, I would love to take Chiquita home, and I know a lot of us see her very friendly, and we see that she is good to other animals and to us, but is this something we can keep at home?
Not really. They don't really make very good pets. So for one, they're not very cuddly. Obviously, Chiquita doesn't really like being touched, and I wouldn't really like touching Chiquita. That would probably be no fun for anyone. And they need a lot of space. So she's got a big enclosure back in our birdhouse where she's got plenty of space to roam around. And they are, like I mentioned, they live high up in the trees, so she's got lots of big high perches that she can sit on. And the other thing is that in that space, she's free to do whatever she wants. She can be a porcupine, there are no rules. But if she was living in our house, there would be a lot of rules that she'd have to follow.
I see big ears. Can she hear very well? Can she see real good? I don't know if you want to tell me a little bit about her.
She's got pretty good hearing, and her sense of smell is also pretty good. So she's got this huge nose. Now when you look at an animal, you mentioned how big they are. You can usually tell how important a sense is by how big it is. So you'll notice she has that big nose. She has a really good sense of smell, but she has those little beady eyes. Her eyesight isn't very good. So when they're awake at night, they're actually mostly going to be navigating using their sense of smell and their sense of hearing, and also these long, sensitive whiskers that she's got all over to help her to feel if something is nearby.
I see her eating. How many teeth does she have?
So rodents usually have very few teeth. They'll have 4 big incisors in the front. You can almost sort of see her teeth as she sits up. They have 4 big incisors in front and not really a whole lot of teeth in the back, just a few. Chiquita is a little bit older. They do live about 15 to 20 years, and 18, she is on the older side. She is very healthy for her age, but she's also missing a few teeth. So Chiquita only has 2 teeth left.
Well, but I do see she's very healthy, and part of that is that she eats the right foods, and I'm sure you all take wonderful care of her here. So what does it take to keep her healthy here at the aquarium?
So there are a couple of things. One, of course, as I mentioned, is making sure she has the right environment. So that's good not only for her physical health, because she can navigate it the way that she's built to navigate. It's also good having lots of perches that can help keep her nails trimmed because they have rough surfaces. Things like that. They're healthy for her feet if they've got lots of different textures. We do make sure that she gets a nutritionally complete diet here, so we make sure that she's not only getting the right kinds of food, but also plenty of food. We want to make sure that she's eating enough. And we also have round-the-clock vet care. So we have our own vet staff right here at the aquarium, and if we ever need any vet care for Chiquita, they're right there and they can get to her right away.
So just like our kids back home and us as humans and adults, we also go to the doctor. We must go to the doctor once a year. Chiquita has her own doctor here at the aquarium.
She does. She, as I mentioned, is very healthy, luckily, so she doesn't have to go to the vet very often, but she does get an annual checkup, just like we do.
Well, we've learned so much about her. Any other fun facts we want to know about Chiquita and the type of animal that she is?
Well, we did mention her quills. I like to talk to people about what they do when they feel threatened, because it's kind of funny. Believe it or not, if a porcupine feels threatened, they're going to bark at you. That doesn't sound quite like a dog, but they do bark. And if they feel really threatened, they'll actually turn around and poof up all their quills and back into things like this. And you can sort of tell a little bit her quills are actually yellow on the underside, so I'm sure that's a very impressive display from behind. One
thing I did read about porcupines is that when they are born, Their quills are soft and they get hard within a certain amount of time.
Very important for the health of mom, and they do get hard within a few days of being born.
So Eris, we'd like to thank you for having us today, and thank you to Chiquita for inviting us and letting us get to know a lot about her type of animal. We'd also like to thank the Texas State Aquarium for hosting us here today. So friends at home, let's all say bye to Chiquita. Bye, Chiquita. Bye, Eris. Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you, Rose. That was so much fun learning about Chiquita the porcupine. A very special thank you to Miss Eris, our animal trainer, and the Texas State Aquarium for hosting us today. Just a little review about what we learned. We learned that porcupines have things on their back called quills. We also learned that they're herbivores, which means they eat fruits and nuts. And something that we can do at home to help keep them healthy and safe is to keep our distance. So let's remember those little things. If you had as much fun as I did today, be sure to follow us next time. And also, if you would like, please draw the best porcupine that you can at home and have your parents submit that to memberservices@dchstx.org. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.